Congratulations on your smart choice of the Zojirushi Home Bakery Virtuoso Breadmaker. The purpose of this DVD is to get you up and running right away with your home bakery virtuoso so that you can start to enjoy the delicious, healthful convenience of homemade breads, pastries, and jams today. What's so great about the home bakery virtuoso is that you don't have to know anything about bread making. Your job is simply to accurately measure and add the ingredients, and your Zojirushi Home Bakery Virtuoso will knead, rise, and bake your bread. Soon, you'll be baking healthy, additive-free, delicious white breads, wheat breads, sourdough breads, gluten-free breads, cakes, rolls, croissants, jams, even meatloaf, and more in your home bakery virtuoso. You are going to love waking up to the heavenly smell of fresh baked bread in the morning, bread that you made, bread where you know every single ingredient that went into it. And here's the best part. The preparation time for all of these delicious, nutritious foods is just minutes for you. To get started, read the instruction manual that came with your home bakery virtuoso so that you're familiar with the important safeguards. Also read How to Set the Clock on page 8 of your instruction manual and go ahead and set the clock to your local time. When you've done that, please go to the next chapter on this DVD and I'll show you how to start baking with your Zojirushi Home Bakery Virtuoso. Your Zojirushi Home Bakery Virtuoso is a precision baking instrument, so it's very important that you measure all of your ingredients accurately. Our recipes have been tested over and over, and they work every time. So measure right the first time, and you'll be thrilled that you did. Later, you'll know enough to experiment with your own recipes. We also encourage you to use the highest quality and freshest ingredients that you can: flours, spices, yeasts, fruits, etc. You've got the best bread making machine there is. Don't shortchange yourself and your family by using inferior ingredients. Now, with your Zojirushi Home Bakery Virtuoso, we have supplied you with a measuring spoon for spices and yeasts. The small end of the measuring spoon is 1 teaspoon, and the large end measures 1 tablespoon. You can also see the line in the middle of the scoop at either end. That measures half a teaspoon and half a tablespoon. So that you measure accurately, fill the spoon to overflow and then level off your ingredient. Your Zojirushi Home Bakery Virtuoso also comes with a measuring cup for liquids. The cup is the same as a standard 8-ounce measuring cup. When you use this cup on a level surface, you will be measuring liquids accurately. But for measuring flours, use a set of nested measuring cups from your own kitchen. Now, let's see how to scoop and measure your flour for your home bakery virtuoso. Remember, because your Zojirushi Breadmaker is a precision machine, accurate measurement is very important here. Don't scoop the flour directly with the cup. Instead, take a large spoon and gently scoop the flour into your measuring cup. Don't sift the flour, and you don't want to pack down the flour either. Just let it fall into the cup. Fill it to overflow, and then level off the cup. If you need to measure 3/4 of a cup, just use a 1/2 cup measure and then a 1/4 cup measure. Don't try to guess by using a 1 cup measure. So now that you understand how to measure your ingredients accurately, let's get to baking by learning how to make basic bread. Let's bake some basic bread. First, we need to remove the baking pan so that we can add our ingredients. Open the lid and remove the baking pan by gently grasping it by the handles on both sides. Tilt it towards you and you'll feel it release, and then just pull it straight up and lift it out. Now, place the kneading blades on the shafts on the bottom of the baking pan. They're designed to fit only one way so that you know you have placed them correctly. The blades will be flat to the top of the shafts. We'll make the basic white bread recipe found on page 14 of your instruction manual. When baking with the Home Bakery Virtuoso, you put the liquid in first. This recipe calls for 1 1/3 cups of water. So to make sure that I'm accurate, I'll fill my cup with 1 cup water, pour it in, and then refill up to 1/3 cup and pour that in. Next, we put in the flour, which will be 4 1/4 cups. So I will spoon flour into my 1 cup nesting cup 4 times, plus 1/4 cup, and pour it into the baking pan. Now comes our dry ingredients. 4 tablespoons of sugar, 2 tablespoons of powdered milk, 2 teaspoons of salt, and 2 1/2 tablespoons of butter. Lastly, 2 1/2 teaspoons of yeast. Put a little indentation in the flour and gently set the yeast in. We don't want the yeast to get wet or touch the salt because it will make the yeast begin to react too soon. So now we're ready to put the baking pan back into the home bakery. Place it in like this and push down on both sides until it clicks and seats itself. Now plug in the home bakery power cord. You will see the current time in the digital display. Close the lid. If you do not close the lid or you don't close it securely, you will see the word lid in the control panel and the machine will not start. So make sure it's completely closed. It's time to program the machine for dough preparation and baking, which is called the course. Then you'll set the crust setting for either light, medium, or dark crust, whichever you prefer. And then you will press the Start button to begin. To select the correct course for the basic white bread recipe that we're following on page 14 of your instruction manual, we want to find and select the regular basic course. When you see one arrow pointing at regular and the other arrow is pointing at basic, then regular basic is selected. Next, press Crust Control and select which type of crust you want, light, medium, or dark. We'll choose medium. And all that's left to do is press the Start button. Now you're on your way to baking delicious bread. You will see the red Start light come on and rest will be displayed in the window. In the rest cycle, you may think nothing is happening, but the machine is actually working to stabilize the temperature of all the ingredients. After the rest cycle, the home bakery will automatically knead, rise, and bake the dough. If you want to bypass the rest cycle, you can skip it. I'll show you exactly how to do it in the special features section of this DVD. In the control panel window, you will see the words completion time followed by the time of day, which is the time that your bread will be done. And 30 minutes before it completes, your Zojirushi Home Bakery Virtuoso will be counting down to 0 in 1-minute increments. You'll notice that all during the baking process, the display will change and tell you what stage it's working on, whether it's rest, knead, rise, bake, or that it's completed. When the home bakery is finished baking, it will automatically keep the bread warm for you for an hour. But you may want to serve it right away, so just push the cancel button and it will turn off. Since both the baking pan and the bread will be very hot, be sure to use oven mitts to remove the baking pan. Turn the baking pan over and gently shake out the bread. If it's sticking, just wiggle the wing nuts on the underside of the baking pan. Never use a metal knife or spatula to dislodge the bread from the baking pan because you might damage the nonstick finish. You are done. Now unplug your Home Bakery Virtuoso and enjoy your delicious homemade bread. There are multiple baking courses you can use on your Zojirushi Home Bakery Virtuoso. Let's do a quick overview so you get an idea of the things you can do using other courses. First, the Quick Course. The Quick Course is available to be used in conjunction with the Basic Wheat and Dough courses. When you choose Quick with Basic, Wheat, or Dough, you use rapid rise yeast instead of active dry yeast, and you will have your bread sooner. Everything else is the same. Second, the Wheat Course. You will choose this course when you are using whole wheat flour or any other dense flour. Third, the Gluten-Free Course. This course is designed to bake gluten-free breads for those who are gluten intolerant and use gluten-free flours, such as rice flour or cornstarch. At the time that the ad beep sound, open the lid and gently push down any flour that is left on the baking pan walls with the rubber spatula. Gluten-free dough is more like cake batter, and it can get left onto the side of the baking pan. Just push it down and encourage it to mix with the rest of the flour. Next, the Dough Course. This course prepares dough for you so that you can shape it and use it for things like pizza, croissants, bagels, and other pastries. The Jam Course. The Jam Course is fantastic. Here you make fresh jam, which you can serve hot or cold just by adding fresh fruit into the Home Bakery Virtuoso. You do not have to stir because the Home Bakery does that for you. Sixth, the Cake Course. Making cake is simple. Just put in your liquids first, followed by the dry ingredients. When the ad beeps sound after about 60 minutes, open the lid, and with the rubber spatula, push down any excess flour you see on the baking pan walls. You'll have a great-looking cake. And seventh and lastly, we have the Sourdough Starter Course. This course will prepare your sourdough starter in a little over 2 hours. When the starter is done, add the additional dry ingredients for white bread, and because the starter provides the liquid, do not add water. Use the regular basic course to make sourdough bread. As you can see, the baking you can do with your Zojirushi is virtually unlimited. Have fun creating your favorites. Your Zojirushi Home Bakery Virtuoso comes with many special features to give you more choices for great baking. First is the rest off. The purpose of the rest cycle is to stabilize the temperature of your ingredients before baking, and it is the default mode. But if you want to shorten your baking time, you can bypass the rest cycle. Here's how. Once you have selected your course, press and hold the time setting up and down buttons together for 3 seconds until rest off appears in the display. Finish your normal preparation for baking and just press start to begin without the rest cycle. When you want to use the rest cycle, press and hold the time setting up and down buttons together for 3 seconds until rest off disappears from the display. Now, the ad beeps. The ad beeps are beeps that occur during the kneading cycle to let you know that it is time to add additional ingredients, such as raisins, nuts, or chocolate chips. When you hear the beeps, just open the lid and the blades will stop kneading, and simply add your ingredients and close the lid. The blades will resume kneading. As an added note, when you are using the timer for baking, the ad beeps will not sound. This is so you can set your Virtuoso to bake in the night, and there will be no beeps to wake you up. The clock. Here's how to set the clock. Plug in the power cord, and 7 a.m. will blink in the display. Use the time setting button to set the current time. Each press of the time up button advances the time in 1-minute increments. Each press of the time down button moves the clock in reverse in 1-minute increments. To move up or down in 10-minute increments, just press and hold down the time up or down button. The time display will stop blinking after 3 seconds, and this lets you know that you have set the clock. The clock will continue to display even while the power plug is unplugged. If 7 a.m. is blinking in the display window, then the battery will need to be replaced. Now be sure to set your clock so that you can use the timer and so you'll know when your bread will finish baking. The timer. The timer is used to program the home bakery Virtuoso to complete a process by a specific time. Maybe you'd like to wake up to fresh bread in the morning. With the timer, you can set the timer in 10-minute increments up to 13 hours ahead. First, you put in your ingredients in the baking pan, starting with the liquids first and keeping the yeast away from the water and the salt. Place the baking pan in the home bakery. Then press the timer button and the start light will blink. Now, use the time up and time down button to set the completion time. Press the start button and you will see the timer light turn on. Now, when using the timer function, you will want to be sure that you are not using perishable ingredients that could go bad like milk, juice, and eggs. The homemade course is an advanced feature that allows you to program each cycle separately, knead, rise, and bake, so that you can develop and fine-tune your own bread recipes. There is a lot of detailed information on this course in your instruction manual starting on page 40 that you should refer to. But let me give you an overview of what you can do with the homemade course. This course allows you to shorten or lengthen your knead or rise times, turn off certain cycles, and even use the bake cycle like an oven. To access and set up the homemade course, press the Homemade button to select one of 3 settings. Press the Cycle button to select the cycle. The first one is Rest. Now you can use the Time Setting button to set the time of the rest cycle. Press the Cycle button to select the next cycle and to complete the rest of the course. See page 41 of your instruction manual for complete information on each cycle and their minimum and maximum time frames. After the Keep Warm cycle is programmed, press the Cycle button to check the total process time. Now, press Start to begin the process. The start light will turn on and the first cycle will begin. Shape is a really great feature that allows you to make and bake specialty breads like cinnamon roll bread and fancy party breads. With the shape setting, you take the dough out of the baking pan after the kneading is complete. Shape the dough as you like, return the dough to the baking pan, and the Virtuoso will complete the baking in the home bakery. Not only are these delicious, but they are so easy to make. The shape feature is explained in very clear detail on pages 41 and 42 of your instruction manual. But briefly, when you are making dough and then baking it in the home bakery, you use the shape feature. And if you are making dough and baking it in your stove's oven, you would use the dough feature. Pizza is a great example. You'll use the dough setting because after the pizza dough is made, you'll roll it out, put on your toppings, and then bake your pizza in your stove's oven. Now, if you have turned shape on when the beeps sound, you take the dough out of the baking pan. Then you shape it as you wish and replace it. Press the Start button and the home bakery will resume its cycles. You have 1 hour to reshape your dough and replace it in the baking pan before the home bakery will automatically restart. And be aware that even if the Start button is not pressed, the Virtuoso will start in 1 hour. I want to show you that turning off certain cycles allows your home bakery Virtuoso to be even more versatile. Using the knead cycle only, you can actually make homemade pasta. Following the recipe on page 45 of your instruction manual, you will combine all of your ingredients, starting with the water, and then you have the Virtuoso kneaded for 20 minutes. Your pasta dough will be ready to roll out, cut, and boil, and you are going to love the results. Another terrific dish you can make using the bake cycle is meatloaf. Yes, you heard me right. Delicious meatloaf. Make your meatloaf mix as usual, and then simply put it in the baking pan and bake it in your home bakery. It's so easy. As you can see, there is so much you can do with this precision baking instrument. We would love to hear about the ways you've had success with your own recipes. Please send us your best home bakery virtuoso recipes to recipes@zojirushi.com. I'd like to answer the most common questions that people have when using their Zojirushi Home Bakery Virtuoso. If you are having trouble getting your bread released from the baking pan, turn the baking pan over and gently wiggle the two wing nuts on the underside. If you find that one or both of the kneading blades is actually stuck in the bread, use a rubber spatula to dislodge the kneading blade. Do not use a metal spatula or a knife because they can scratch the protective surface on the blades and inside the baking pan. Now, let's say that you've baked a cake, but you are having trouble getting it out of the baking pan. Here's what you do. First, let the cake cool slightly, then turn the baking pan over and shake it gently and let the cake fall out. Lastly, bread flour and yeast are very sensitive to temperature and humidity, and these can affect the outcome of your bread. If you find that you're having problems, first consult page 49 of your instruction manual's troubleshooting guide, and then, if you still need help, please call Zojirushi customer service at 1-800-733-6270, and we will be happy to help you. Of course, you want to keep your home bakery clean, so here's the best way to do it. First, always unplug your home bakery when you are not using it. If you have just used it, don't attempt to clean it until it is cooled down. To clean the outer body, clean it with a damp cloth. Clean the viewing window with a moist paper towel . And then wipe it dry. If you have crumbs on the inside of the home bakery, collect them with a slightly damp paper towel. To clean the baking pan, fill it with warm water and mild detergent and let it sit for 30 minutes. Then clean the inside with a soft sponge. Do not immerse the baking pan in water. If the kneading blades are difficult to remove, hold the blade with one hand and with the other reach underneath and turn the wing nut in the opposite direction. Never use abrasive materials or harsh cleaners because they could damage the pan or its nonstick coating. Follow these simple procedures and your Zojirushi Home Bakery Virtuoso will give you, your friends, and family years of delicious, wholesome breads, jams, and pastries. If you have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to call Zojirushi customer service at 1-800-733-6270. And be sure to visit our website at zojirushi.com for more tips and recipes. Happy baking! Congratulations on your smart choice of the Zojirushi Home Bakery Virtuoso Breadmaker. The purpose of this DVD is to get you up and running right away with your home bakery virtuoso so that you can start to enjoy the delicious, healthful convenience of homemade breads, pastries, and jams today. What's so great about the home bakery virtuoso is that you don't have to know anything about bread making. Your job is simply to accurately measure and add the ingredients, and your Zojirushi Home Bakery Virtuoso will knead, rise, and bake your bread. Soon, you'll be baking healthy, additive-free, delicious white breads, wheat breads, sourdough breads, gluten-free breads, cakes, rolls, croissants, jams, even meatloaf, and more in your home bakery virtuoso. You are going to love waking up to the heavenly smell of fresh baked bread in the morning, bread that you made, bread where you know every single ingredient that went into it. And here's the best part. The preparation time for all of these delicious, nutritious foods is just minutes for you. To get started, read the instruction manual that came with your home bakery virtuoso so that you're familiar with the important safeguards. Also read How to Set the Clock on page 8 of your instruction manual and go ahead and set the clock to your local time. When you've done that, please go to the next chapter on this DVD and I'll show you how to start baking with your Zojirushi Home Bakery Virtuoso. Your Zojirushi Home Bakery Virtuoso is a precision baking instrument, so it's very important that you measure all of your ingredients accurately. Our recipes have been tested over and over, and they work every time. So measure right the first time, and you'll be thrilled that you did. Later, you'll know enough to experiment with your own recipes. We also encourage you to use the highest quality and freshest ingredients that you can: flours, spices, yeasts, fruits, etc. You've got the best bread making machine there is. Don't shortchange yourself and your family by using inferior ingredients. Now, with your Zojirushi Home Bakery Virtuoso,